Welcome back to Trekyards, everybody. He is Commander Cockings.
He is Captain Foley.
And today we're going to talk about the Xenogorn.
Or Gornomorphs.
Like it. But we saw the baby Gorn, at least, in an episode of Strange New Worlds. And we're going to talk about that today, because the designs are very similar to something else we've seen in sci-fi.
Yes, now we all love a homage, where they take inspiration from previous franchise, IP, and whatever. And want to do certain iconic things, like the Predator Vision, even if it's a simple concept, just seeing, heat via vision, people associate it with Predator, etc. But when you have so many small things that look, feel styled, and they feel intentional, I certainly walked away from episode 9 saying, I enjoyed it, but why the Gorn Xenomorphs now? Because Gorn are bipedal, smart alligator creatures. Like the Gorn wedding in Lower Deck, two wonderful Gorn getting married with Gorn people around them, and very nice, happy day on a desert planet, It's like, huh.
And don't forget the Gorn kebab vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, very civilized creatures, those Gorn.
If we truly take this as canon, then each person at Gorn wedding in Lower Decks came from a victim who was spit on by another Gorn, who had at least four baby brothers or sisters burst from their back, murdered each other, grew, and then got married with them. Each of those wedding people had a murder victim, rape person. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's not the Gorn that we have had for 56, 57 years. But today we're going to have a direct comparison, because it's not just the idea of it being Xenomorph. They took so many visuals from Xenomorph, it's a little bit silly, and I want to show them. Now, what's interesting though is it's not alien Xenomorphs. It's Prometheus Xenomorphs. That's very specific, the difference, but they also part of the same universe. So the first shot is the equivalent backbursting scene from Alien Covenant, if you recall, which was a big, oh my god, it's backbursting, and I had to rewatch the scene for this, and it's fucking gruesome, oh my god. I mean, did you remember that?
I actually like Prometheus, despite what most people think about it. Plus, I have it in 3D. One of the first 3D movies we were gifted. I didn't connect it when I first watched the episode, but when you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah. It's quite obvious. And the similarities to the Prometheus ones are quite striking, which we're going to look at. So,
and for clarity, this is a Neomorph. So Neomorphs, Backburst. I mean, they backburst with a huge big sack, but I found a frame that's closer. And in this episode of Strange Worlds, 4 backbursts, but it's very, very similar visually, although a little bit less graphic. The next shot is post-backburst, and this is like a blink and you'll miss it sort of frame. Oh god, this is a bit gruesome. So obviously you got the right-hand side of the classic Xenomorpher, which comes out, and I mean, thematically, again, very similar visually, but a little bit less blood, a bit more goop. Thoughts?
It's actually quite odd how similar they are. You can definitely see what the inspiration was, both for the overall look, design, and also for the action of bursting through. Although this one is less bloody because it is an alien that is bursting out of, so it doesn't necessarily have red blood. So,
and it's not a hardcore 18 film in the 80s where they want to be a shock value. And in fact, this frame is so quick that you've got to capture it.
Yep. You see it subconsciously, like you do see it, but you cannot. They don't dwell on it at all.
Nothing innately wrong with the idea of backbursting creature, because Alien did it first, that's sort of unfair to anything later is always compared to it. But just all of the steps felt the same, which is sort of the problem. I don't know how you would have done it different. Or, if there was a single Gorn who was bipedal and he kind of ripped out and stood up, they could have done it in much more like, oh my god, wow, that's even more graphic in a way. The next shot though is, again, blink and you'll miss it, because this stuff is filmed in darkness and I had to up the brightness. This is actually the thing coming out much more chest-burstery. It's very hard to see because, of course, it's trying to be, these are puppets come out of a physical alien, so but you do capture it for a second, and hopefully you can sort of see it is doing the same thing.
Strange New Worlds made it a little more violent with their little arms and where they kind of scream when they come out. The alien one just kind of comes out and and scurries off, which they even included the scurrying in Strange New Worlds, by the way, scurrying out of the sick bay and clattering stuff to the ground as it went.
Well, I noticed that, but it's certainly more gruesome because 4 come out and they eat each other and kill each other. I mean, imagine if Xenomorphs did that as well, it'd be horrible. But the next shot is a really fascinating one, and this one only works because we saw in the behind the scenes what the baby Gorn truly looked like. And instantly I thought of a baby Neomorph And I mean, yes, take out the obscene amount of blood would help to kind of get the visual, but I mean, for me, the parallel is extremely clear, and I feel like they were intentionally going for this.
Actually, yeah, this is like the baby puppet that they have here. Later in the episode on the medical display, you actually get a good computer display graphic of the alien, and it actually looks almost exactly like the Prometheus one, even in its the way it's standing and stuff. It's got the same kind of stature. Yeah, it's uncanny how similar they are, which is weird because we've already seen what the Gorn looked like in TOS, and they're not.
And of course, Enterprise, and of course, Lower Decks.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not quadrupeds or bipedal, but and yes, the xenomorphs depend on the host as to what they look like when they come out. We understand that the Gorn could be a similar way. It's never explained that way,
And that might be a future development. We're not going to say they can't do that, but certainly this is a far cry from that.
You know what we're going to find out? You know what we're going to find out in season 2 is that the Gorn actually tried some kind of augmentation or experimentation. And that's what we're seeing. That's the Gorn that are giving all the other Gorn a bad name. And the Gorn that were in the ships in episode 4 or whatever it was, those are actually the bipedal ones who are trying to rein in their experiments. Because
Gorn Civil War.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or just an experiment gone wrong that keeps like it because of the way that they reproduce now by spitting on people. They've basically just expanded too far, and the Gorn are trying to reel them in. Who knows? Because it doesn't make sense canon-wise.
Not even remotely. I mean, since a baby Gorn can spit on you and infect you and make more baby Gorn in the same day, I mean, that's basically a plague. That's an infection plague.
I mean, it's on one planet. It spits on any animal on that planet, like any populated.
I mean, it's worse than a facehugger.
It's doomed.
Yeah. I mean, talk about how they evolve that level of, and also makes, I guess it also makes them single gender, single sex, because if anyone can spit on anyone and make anyone who can spit on anyone, who can make anyone who can spit on anyone, any creature, because they say Orion, human, and the random guy, so they can make any alien race.
And each gestation period is different, from a couple weeks to days. So
I mean, this is kind of the scourge of the galaxy. When we talk about Borg, I mean, this thing is. I mean, Borg have to physically get to you and do this. They can. I mean, this is almost more deadly. It's a plague that spreads. I mean, it's I kind of don't buy their spacefaring at all from this. It's a plague of death, boy. But I love that idea.
And we talked about another episode once they mature to maybe 2 years or something. That's when they become sentient and less feral and animalistic, and that's why they have the hatching planets or the birthing planets or colonies, so that they can drop them off, let them do their thing, come back, and only the strongest are there, and go, "Hey guys, welcome to our civilization." So there could be lots of different takes on what's going on.
Yeah, because they talk about hunting being a big deal, and if they hunt each other. And then in theory, if you want to evolve quicker, if you then gestate, create, and then you put more people on the planet, they infect more people, then those best survive, and you're going through hundreds of thousands of creatures very quickly. Maybe it takes, 5,000 people and, 20,000 people, humanoid creatures to create one Gorn that can leave the planet as a sentient creature. And they're just capturing millions of people all over across the galaxy to create, a few dozen intelligent Gorn. It takes that much evolution. Maybe it's such a broken process.
The other thing that doesn't make any sense is Lon said that they always leave a survivor and they set it adrift in a raft or whatever to kind of tell the story of what happened. There's no way this feral kind of creature would have that intelligence to do so. Why would they leave the little girl alone constantly? Yeah.
Well, they left the girl alone because she was in a cold place, and they don't like cold. But, I mean, obviously these Gorn aren't they haven't gone through basic boot camp, they're not officers, they're not on spaceships. I mean, that's not, not the same thing, that's fine. But we really need to see at some point just intelligence from them. Just something, or like I said in our other review, have Lon say, for the first 6 months, they're feral beasts. They can't be reasoned with, they're nothing, but she said, actually, they're very intelligent, but they were not. Or we need to see a shot of, you know, for example, if we were seeing the moment when you see in engineering the creature come out and it's clearly just an alien from Aliens, right? If Lana then cut back to a flashback of her on the birthing planet and we see a bipedal Gorn, CG full body with like a full uniform, like see the contrast, and she's like, oh, baby, they're worse. And we, you know, seeing the two versions, the infant and the evolved, that would have been very important. It might come later, but we're just with the Klingons, they change them for no reason at all. So we're not going to give them benefit of the doubt yet because they've lost that through the working on previous of these prequel shows.
Another one of the worst things is the fact that these are so agile and fast. They can climb on ceilings, they can climb on walls. It's very Xenomorph.
Yeah, how can they climb on ceilings? How can they do that?
Yeah. How did the Xenomorphs do it? I don't know. Same way. The sticky, gooey stuff that they...
Yeah, I mean, it's works better for aliens.
But, and then in Arena, we see a very slow-moving, large male Gorn. It could be that the planet's atmosphere was interfering with its... Or maybe it was just literally a 200-year-old Gorn that was just like, oh, I'm a day away from retirement. What the hell? My back is so sore.
The older I am, the less bulky I get. Which is great. It'd be a nice evolution if they worked that.
The Metrons, they abducted an elderly Gorn with a speech impediment.
Well, in fairness, that's the only way Kirk could fight it. Imagine if it was one of these guys.
That's true.
I mean, Kirk probably wouldn't stand a chance. But it not innately bad, just Star Trek is part of this big, grand universe, and we here at Trekyards, we work towards linking these things together to show you guys the what if, the comparison, just show it and see what happens, and here we are showing the visual references to aliens, which are many and constant.
Comment down below if you noticed this, what you thought about it, what you thought about our discussion. If you want to expound on anything or come up with your own theories, throw them in the comment section, or join us for lives where we talk about this kind of thing in real time with you, and you guys can chip in and help us out in many different ways just by joining the channel.
Mm-hmm. And support us directly if you can, and we'd love if you could, to have more stuff like this. We put the work in that you don't necessarily want to, and that's okay. So support us monthly if you can via Patreon, or join the channel on YouTube, or one-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is a PayPal link. Anything you want to give makes a big difference. Goes towards the show costs, buying kit and etc. Cool things, or super chatting in our lives. We do them every single week, many times on Strange Worlds, and all the new shows coming out. If there's a new show, we will talk about it, and you can join us for that evolution of that. And it's kind of fun to get to watch our reviews of years ago and see how we were there and then. We kind of locked that moment in. And if you want to go back and watch, say, our Lower Decks reviews and super thanks, you can. It's a one-time donation on a previously made video. Anything helps, and they're kind of like surprise donations, and it allows us to keep making the show if we want to. Thanks in advance.
Mm-hmm. So until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Combs. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.